Well, hello my lovely nestlings and welcome to today's video where I'm going to try out 3 of the new mini palettes from I Heart Revolution. I am going to try each one and give you my opinion on them. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Nikki. I am from the Netherlands, hence the accent. I'm also slightly orcish, relatively vintage. I love spooky stuff, makeup and being creative. Let me explain some things. The slightly orcish means I'm green. I'm a light to light medium warm-ish olive. The relatively vintage means I'm in my late 40s. It's almost my birthday. I don't know when this video is going up. I also have ADHD and I'm autistic, so you get tons. These palettes launched at Boozy Shop not too long ago, and when I saw them I was like, I kind of like these, and I have not tried I Heart Revolution's formula in a long time, so I'm really curious. That's it, I'm really curious. So I actually ordered 2 palettes. They sent me one by mistake and then they sent the correct one later. So the ones that I have are Dark Chocolate Brownie. I have the Chocolate Fudge, which is orangey, and the one they sent me by mistake is the Chocolate Ganache. Yes, all my makeup that I use in this video will be listed down below for you guys to check out, and we're going to start with the Dark Chocolate Brownie. This was actually the first one that really caught my attention. I don't know, I just really liked the color story. This is also the one that I wanted to try first, so that's what I did. The look that I have right now, that you also see me creating while you're listening to me, is a very basic look, but these palettes for me are that way. I love a 5-pan palette because it's just a palette that I have to grab and I don't have to think about what I want to do. So I started with the lightest shadow with a big fluffy brush to lay down the first layer, and I really wanted to see, it's usually to see how well does a shadow lay down, what is kind of the color, do I need to change anything about it. That's the reason that I start like that. And I was very pleasantly surprised by the pigmentation that I got right away. I kind of had to dip my brush in 2 times or something like that, but I did not have to dig my brush in. So then the darker brown in here I used to darken up, and again I was very surprised. This one picked up even more on the brush. It laid down a nice color as well. Then the black, when I did my brush in the black, I was pleasantly surprised actually. It picks up on my brush very well. Now I use synthetic brushes, and that can also make a difference, but they picked up the shadow very well, and it was I think it's a very nice black. And what do I mean by that? I don't want a black that is instant pigment that I have to spend an hour blending out, but I also don't want a black that's very lackluster that I have to keep on building. This is very much in between, so I get instant pigment but I can still control it, if that makes any sense. And again, it blended into the other shadows beautifully. As for the shimmers, usually I use a shimmer primer. On one eye I didn't use a shimmer primer, and on the other eye I did. So on the first, my left eye, you're right, I believe, I tried the shadow dry first, and that it really surprised me. It picked up amazingly on my brush. It laid down the color very nicely, and it is a very nice shiny shadow. And honestly, I am not used to that from Makeup Revolution, from I Heart Revolution. The older formula that I tried, I could get the shadow looking nice, but never this foiled, and I usually had to kind of work for it a little bit. On the other eye, I did use my shimmer primer, and it makes the shadows even more foiled. The lighter shimmer, I think, complements the other colors very well, and again, very nice and shiny. What is not in this particular color story is, for me at least, an inner corner shade. So I actually grabbed one from Davina, the shade Gumballs, that I put in my inner corner. You don't really have to, but I just like it, and it's actually a shade that I pull in often, so I don't really mind it that there's not an inner corner shade for me. This palette, performance-wise, makes me very excited to try the other 2. I think it performed very well. I wasn't expecting this. I was not expecting this ease, this pigmentation, and the look that I have right now. I think that if I ask people what I have on my eyes, if they can tell me, they're not going to say it's I Heart Revolution. If you like this color story, I don't think you will be disappointed. I can very much recommend upon application. I don't know how it will wear. So what will happen is I will check how it will wear, and then before we go into the next palette, I will let you know how it wore throughout the day and if it creased on me and all that. So yeah, without further ado, we are going to go to the next palette, which is going to be, let's go to this one, which is the Chocolate Ganache. I did check, I had no creasing. I just wanted to let you guys know I had no creasing whatsoever. But yeah, the second palette we are going to try today. This one has 3 shimmers and 2 mattes. And again, the look is not going to be complicated. I did want to start differently today because I only have 2 mattes. I wanted to start with the darkest one and then kind of blend it out with the lighter one a little bit. The darkest matte, it's a nice matte, it's a nice color, and it's a very nice shade to work with. You can build it up a little bit, you can blend it out nicely. No issues whatsoever. I did have a little bit of kick up in the pan like with the other shades, but not a lot, and my brushes picked it up very well. Then when I started putting on the lighter shade, I can see that it's an orange, and the blending between the darker shade and the lighter shade works, but I do kind of wish, honestly, I wish that the lightest orange for me personally had been a little bit lighter, or the darker shade a little bit darker, so that there has been a little bit more depth variety between the two. Because on me, I can see the dimension that I could create, but I kind of feel like the 2 mattes blend, for my personal taste, a little bit too much together. They don't really get that contrast of that brown and then that more orange, if that makes any sense at all. It does work very nicely. For the shimmers, I kind of did the same thing as I did yesterday, so I just grabbed my Essence Fix and Last Jelly Eye Primer, put a little bit on the back of my hand, work my brush in so that it coats my brush, and then tap it on over the matte shade, let it settle a little bit, and I dry my brush on a microfiber towel, and then I go in with the shimmers. That's how I use my shimmer primer. Basically the reddest shimmer that is in here, it kind of surprised me a little bit. I think it's a very pretty color, and depending on what you pair it with, you get either kind of, or I get more of a red shade, but I can also go a little bit more, I don't know, fiery orange. I didn't want to use all the shades today, so yeah, the red is in the outer corner and kind of on the middle of my lid. Then the center shade pairs very well with that red. I think it's very pretty. The lightest shade I would like to have all over my lid to see what it looks like. For the inner corner, it's pretty, it works, but for me, for my inner corner, I wish that it would have been a little bit lighter, but that is all personal preference. There was a reason that I didn't purchase this one. The brand Boozy Shop sent this to me by mistake. I'm very happy that I have it though, because I think that there are shadows in here that I would really enjoy. For me personally, this is, from the 3 that I have, color story wise, the least favorite. And the reason for that is I want a little bit more variety between my matte shadows. That's just, again, personal preference, but it is a nice mid-tone palette. Quality wise, the way that it performed, very nice. But if I have to choose between this one and the first one, I'm going to choose the first one. I just like that a little bit more. Now I can combine them no problem, and I really would like to do that as well, because I think that, I don't know, if I grab the darkest brown of the first palette and then this shade, I get the contrast that I am personally looking for. But I still think that the look is very pretty. Would I recommend this palette? Yes. If you like the color story, if you like the variety that it gives you, if that is enough for you, then definitely go check it out, because the performance is very much there. The next palette is actually going to be the palette that I'm very excited about, which is this one. I think though that it's going to be the same as with this palette. I think I wish that this one was a little bit deeper. But we are going to see. For me, it's going to be tomorrow that I film this. For you, it's just going to be a few seconds. So if you kind of need a refill of your snack and your drink, grab it now. Because here comes the last palette, which is called Chocolate Fudge. This was actually a palette that color story wise really drew me in because of the oranges and you know that fiery color. I really enjoy that color story. So again, it's 2 mattes and 3 shimmers. So it's not going to be a complicated look. I started with the darkest one again. I'm kind of rethinking my choices right now. Honestly, having done the look completely, I think I actually should have started with the orange and then deepened it up with a darker shade, but I didn't. I started with the darker shade, which is true to pan for me. And then that orange, I think it's very pretty orange. Very pretty. The shadows blend again beautifully. They also layer, they blend very quickly, easily into each other. No issues there whatsoever. I think that the colors themselves are pretty as well. However, it is with this palette the same as with the last palette. I am missing depth. So what I actually ended up doing was grabbing the chocolate brownie and using the darkest brown there to create some extra depth. I think it's just more flattering for me. Yeah, so, and I have it here anyway. So honestly, that's also what I would do. If I grab this palette, I will use a darker shade like the dark brown that's in the other palette to darken it up because it's just my preferred way. Yes. Again, with the shimmers, I used my Essence Jelly Face Primer, which works great. Again, just tapping it on my eye. Let it settle a little bit and then tap the shimmers over. I kind of initially wanted to do the orange shimmer on the lid and then I changed my mind because I don't know, I really wanted to use all the shades, so that's actually why I grabbed the more, I don't know, it's almost the same kind of as my shirt, a more brownie shimmer that's in here, and I think it's very pretty. I think it's very pretty. The orange shimmer I put underneath my eye on my lower lash line because I still wanted to use it. I think I do want to use this all over the lid though, just not today. And then the goldeny shade in the inner corner. I think that the look came out beautifully. I do have some thoughts on this palette though. So let me tell you what I wish. Performance wise, I have no complaints whatsoever. However, I won't want to change one shade, and that is actually that kind of brownie, or is it a coppery shimmer? I don't know. That shimmer I wish was a very dark brown, maybe a little bit more warm toned, but the same type of depth as we are having in the brownie palette. That would have made it perfection for me personally. This shimmer does give it a little bit more versatility, but with a 5-pan palette for me, I'm like, for me, the perfect ratio is 3 mattes and 2 shimmers. So that I have at least a shade that's dark enough that I can deepen it up with. And that is what I wish with this palette. If I grab this palette, and I do see myself grabbing for this palette because I love the color story, I will grab it in combination with the brownie palette or another dark brown. And that way also, if I had another darker brown here, or this shade had been 2 or 3 shades deeper, it would have made more sense to have this one in there, because this is a formula that's easy enough to use to do a one colored crease with. And what do I mean by that? You basically start with a fluffier brush and then put the color that you want to use as a transition shade. Then the next brush is going to be a little bit smaller and a little bit denser, and then you tap that over. So you kind of build up the shade like that. You can also do it a little bit differently and just pack it on and blend it out. This formula works very well for that as well. But this shade for me isn't deep enough to use it as just as a one color crease. That is it for me. So kind of let me go over everything. If I think that the palettes are worth it, yes, very much so. Honestly, if these had been 15 bucks, I think they still would have been worth it. That is how much I love the formula. Now, out of all three, honestly, the one that is my favorite is the brownie palette. Why? Because it gives me the depth that I want, and I don't have to pull in another eyeshadow palette necessarily. If I want to have a pop in the inner corner, sure, I'll grab another palette. But I do feel that having this one basically as a basis to complement the other two palettes that I have works very well. And in my opinion, if you look at all the color stories and you see a color story that you like, I don't think that you will be disappointed. Now, granted, I only have these three, and I think they released 5 in total, but I only have these 3. So if you really want me to try the other 2 as well, let me know and I can make that happen. But I'm very happy that I tried these palettes. I think this is such a nice formula. The shimmers are, of all the palettes, so pretty. The mattes are so extremely easy to work with. Honestly, I can highly recommend these palettes. I know that they launched in Europe. I don't know if they launched in the USA. I will check Makeup Revolution's site to see if I can find them. This makes me extremely hopeful. Now, I have said this before. I really like Makeup Revolution's formula, especially the one in the cardboard, basically from their regular brand, so not their pro line. In the cardboard palettes, the smaller ones, I have tried them and I think that they are very good. I think that these are almost better. Just the ease of how the palettes performed, the ease of how the mattes worked, how they blended, how they layered, how easy it is to pick up the shimmers with my brush, and how pretty they are on the eye. I'm very hopeful for the future. So let me know if you have tried these. If you only know Makeup I Heart Revolution's older formula from the chocolate palettes, for instance, this is nowhere near that. This is so much better. I have been raving about Makeup Obsession's formula for a long time. This is kind of there. This is honestly so don't sleep on these, guys. These are so good. The only thing is, color story is personal preference. And again, if you like the similar formula that I like, you will love these. You saw them in action, and honestly as well, the look that I did today, I think took me, without the falsies, 10 minutes for both eyes. It's that quick and it's that easy. So yeah, that is going to be it. Let me know down below if you saw these palettes, if you were interested. Let me know if you're picking anything up, and if you already have tried one or maybe even two or more. Let me know your thoughts down below as well. And then that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'm going to wish you a fantastic day, fabulous evening. May your foundation always match your neck, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye, guys.